Okay, so we should be recording. So this class this morning is focusing on the neck. So you will need a sweatshirt or a hoodie. A towel could work fine, a sweater, something like that. We're going to be using that as a prop throughout the class. But this class is focusing on getting the skull aligned over the rest of your spine. So a lot of us sit and stand and move about our day with this forward head where we have our chin jutting forward. We're going to move the skull back in space and help stretch out and nourish some of the tissues and muscles that back of the neck that get overworked from some of that. So to start, we're just going to be seated. You'll bring your left hand out to the left and just drop the left ear over to the left shoulder and just feel the stretch across the right side of the neck. So these first couple stretches we're going to hold for about a minute, just breathing into it. You can take your right hand and reach that out to the right, maybe resting it on the floor, and that will intensify the stretch across the neck. So if not, you can always just keep that right hand on your right thigh. Then bring the right fingertips to the top of the right shoulder and draw the elbow up and in towards the face. Then reach the right arm out long on diagonal. And from here, we'll just rotate the gaze down towards the left side. So we're just switching up the area that we're targeting for our stretch. And just sweep that top arm up and all the way back down to the floor where it came from. And you can keep the gaze at the left hand and then use maybe the left hand to help push yourself back up. Be gentle with the neck. You can also, if your head is facing down, use the hand as some support. We'll take that on the other side. So you'll reach the right hand out to the right on the floor and just drop the right ear to the right shoulder. This class will move slower. It'll be a little bit more relaxing and nourishing for the neck. So rather than doing a couple different sequences, we'll do some stretches for the neck, get warmed up, and then we'll do the same sequence and we'll repeat it twice. You can bring the left fingertips out to the left if you haven't already. Bring the left fingertips to the left shoulder, bring the elbow up and in towards the face, and then extend that left arm on a diagonal, the palm facing you, the back of the hand facing away. And from here, just rotate that gaze down towards the right hand. You can even look straight down as if you had a shirt pocket that you're looking down into. Sweep that top left arm up and down where it came from. You can keep the gaze looking exactly where it is. And then we'll try it here. Bring your right hand to your right cheek and use that as a guide to help bring the weight of your head back up. Take a moment here, take a breath in, feel the face pulling back so that the skull is directly on top of the rest of the spine. The shoulder blades are above the sacrum in one long line. So now we'll take our sweatshirt or our hoodie, and you'll leave the arms out and then just roll it up from there. You can do this with a towel, anything any type of long piece of fabric. So you'll roll it with the arms out and then take that rolled up part and put it right underneath the base of the skull. And that'll give you kind of a sense of space. You can take your hands and use that to add some tension on the, pulling on the arms to add some tension, and then just pull the head back in space to try to get some space at the back of the neck. Pulling the throat towards the back of the head. And then just drop the right ear to the right shoulder here. And you can kind of lift up on the arms of the hoodie. And use the arms to bring you back up to center, and do the same thing on the other side, just dropping the left ear towards the left shoulder. Coming back to center, and then keep the arms just as you have them. You're still pulling the back of the neck, using the sweatshirt to get a little bit more space in the back of the neck, pull it up in the base of the skull, and then we're just going to rotate side to side, moving the head and the rest of the chest side to side. Still feeling that space there. And really lifting up on the arms of the hoodie to add a little bit more spaciousness. And coming back to center. And release that, but keep it nearby because we're going to use that throughout our flow. Keep it by your mat. And we'll come to lie down on our back. You do want to make sure, even in a slow flow class, that we're warming up our muscles, making sure we're warm before we're adding stretches or bigger ranges of movement. Root down in your feet. You can keep your arms down by the hips. Press into the soles of the feet and use the glutes to lift the hips up off the mat, coming into a low bridge. Ever so slightly tucking your tailbone underneath you to really lengthen out the back. And then bring the fingertips behind the skull, almost as if you were doing your abdominals here, and just stretch out the skull. So just pulling it closer to the top of your mat to get a little bit more space there before bringing your hands back down. Back of the neck is nice and long, the glutes are on. Reaching the arms up towards the ceiling here and stretching out the wrists. Pulling back on the fingertips of the right hand and breathing. Switching hands, pulling back on the fingertips of the left hand. And releasing the stretch, bringing the arms down by the side. And then one at a time, just bringing one vertebra down to the mat, followed by the next. Once you get back down to the floor, we'll interlace the hands behind the head. And again, use the hands as a cue to lengthen out the back of the neck more. So you're, as if you're lifting that top of that occipital ridge, the occiput back and up towards the top of your mat. Keep the feet exactly where they are. We'll do one set up of abdominals. So pressing the back of the head into the hands, take a big breath in. Exhale, using the abdominals to lift up off the shoulder blades, not getting your neck overly involved here. We just want the weight of the head resting into the hands, The neck isn't doing any work. Inhale and lower. Exhale, curl. Lifting up off the shoulder blades, pulling the belly in towards midline and back to the back of the floor. Inhale and lower. Exhale, curl. And then twisting using the core from the center axis of the spine, twist 1 or 2 inches towards the left. The back of the skull is still pressing into the hands. Come back through center, inhale and lower. Exhale, curl. Take 1 or 2 inch twist to the right. Still lifted off the right shoulder blade. Come back to center, inhale and lower. We'll do 1 more time each side. Exhale, curl. Twist towards the left. Come back through center. Inhale and lower. Last time, exhale, curl. Twist towards the right. Stay lifted off the shoulder blades. The back of the skull is still pressing into the hands. Then come back through center. Inhale and lower. Take a big breath in. And bring the hands down by the side and side out. Taking 3 big breaths in through the nose and letting them out through the mouth. One more time in through the nose. And exhale. And coming around onto all fours. I've got my cat friend Boo here on my mat, who hasn't come near me in 9 years that he's been alive, but he's joining our class today, so that's nice. Okay, so we're coming around onto quadruped, all fours. The hands are directly underneath the shoulders, the knees are directly underneath the hips, and we're not sagging in the core, we're still lifting the abdominals back towards the spine here. We'll lift the left arm straight out to the side, and then press into the right hand to turn more towards the left. So you're opening up, but we're not using the arm to open up, we're using the core to do that. And then we're going to thread the left arm underneath the right, bringing the head, the side, left side of the head to the floor. And we'll do that a couple of times. We'll press into the right hand to rise back up, lift the left arm straight out to the left, press into the right hand more as you turn and open, and then thread the left arm under and bring the left side of the head to the floor. Press into the right hand, left arm comes out to the left, press into the right hand even more, open up, thread the left arm under, left side of the head comes to the floor. Do this one more time. Press into that right hand, the left arm reaches out to the left, and then we press more, open up, thread the left arm under, and we'll pause here. You can walk the fingertips of the right hand out to the top of your mat above your head, and breathe into the stretch. And then walking the right hand back underneath the right shoulder, pressing into it one more time to lift you back up onto quadruped, all fours. And we'll take the same thing on the other side. So reach the right arm straight out to the right, press into the left hand to open the chest up more towards the right, and then sweep that right arm, thread it underneath the left, bring the right side of the head to the floor. Press into the left hand, right arm reaches out to the right, and then press into it more to open up. Then thread the right hand under. Press into the left hand, rise back up. Turn a little bit more to the right. Then thread that right arm back under where it came from. And one more time, pressing into the left hand. Open up. Opening up a little bit more by pressing into the left hand more. Then thread that right arm under. Right side of the head comes to the floor. And you can walk those left fingertips up to the top of your mat. And breathe here. One more big breath in through the nose. And sigh it all out. Bring the left hand back underneath the left shoulder, press into the palm, and bring yourself back into quadruped. We're going to come into some very intentional cat-cows here. So press into the palms to lift up between the shoulder blades. You're really rounding the back here and letting the head drop. So the top of the skull is just dropping down towards the floor. And then release that. We'll come into a cow. So you'll allow the shoulder blades to draw down the back, lengthening out the chest and not overly lifting the head up here. So the neck is going to just follow. Your chin will be lifted up ever so slightly, but we're not jutting to try to look up to the ceiling. Then press into the palms, round the back, really press up between the shoulder blades, allow the head to just totally drop. And then shoulder blades come down the back, lengthen out the spine, get space in the chest wall. Press into the hands, round the back, cat pose. And drag the hands back, drag the shoulder blades down the back, lengthen for a cow. One more time, we'll lift up between the shoulder blades, let the head release, then tuck the toes in this position and lift the hips back and up. You're in your first downward facing dog. Your head is still totally relaxed here. We'll allow the heels to drop down as we walk the hands back, coming in towards a happy squat at the back of the mat. The fingertips are out nice and long, so you've still got a lot of length in your spine, and you'll just release your head here. Allowing gravity to do its job and just get some space in the neck. If you want a little bit more, you can interlace the fingers and bring them behind your head and just allow the elbows to come in, which will add a little bit more weight and some more traction to the neck. So sitting the hips back, you still have a nice long spine here. And then release the hands. Then you'll baby bear walk your way to the front of the mat. And coming to rise up to stand. Getting ready to add a little bit more movement. We'll adjust our camera angle here. And again, you'll want your hoodie close by for this one. So we'll start off, inhale, reach the arms forward and up. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Step back with the right leg, lower the right knee and the top of the foot. grab that hoodie, and we're going to put it right back where it was from the beginning of class, behind the skull, pulling on the arms of the hoodie to lift up. And then we're just going to turn towards the left and come back to center. Feel that space in the back of the neck as you turn to the left and come back. Last time. And release the hoodie. Hands plant to the floor, step back for plank. Lower both knees to the floor and lower all the way. We'll allow the top of the skull to come towards the mat here. And as you lift into cobra, just keep the top of the skull pointing down. And then release. Press into the hands and press back, downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward, lower the left knee, top of the foot, grab your hoodie. Maybe it's come unrolled, bring it back where it was. We'll do the same thing here. Reach the hands up, get space in the back of the neck, and then turn towards the right this time. And come back. Release the hoodie. Hands plant, step the back foot in, and forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. Exhale, forward fold. Step the left foot back, lower the left knee, top of the foot. This time we're going to just bring our hands behind our skull without the hoodie. Can you still feel the spaciousness that you created there? Feeling the stretch along the back of the neck, feeling the stretch across the right hip flexor. Hands plant to the floor, step back for plank, lower both knees, and lower all the way. This time, bring the fingertips wide off the mat. The palms are lifted, the fingertips stay down. Come into that wide fingertip cobra, and again here, just drop the top of the skull to the mat. Release back to the floor, press into the palms, rise up, downward facing dog. Left foot step forward, lower the right knee, top of the foot, arms come behind the skull, press the skull back into the hands, feel the spaciousness that you created with your sweatshirt. Hands plant to the floor, slide the back foot in, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Step back with the right leg, lower the right knee. This time, keep the toes tucked. Bring the right hand behind the head, the left hand comes to the sacrum. And this time we can just actually bring the right hand to the top of the skull and use that to guide the right ear to the right shoulder. So your hand again is adding a little bit more weight to stretch out the side of the neck. Bring that right hand to the right cheek and use that to help bring the head back up to center. Hands plant, step back for plank. Lower the knees and lower all the way. We'll come into cobra if you prefer the wide fingertip cobra. If you prefer to let the top of the skull drop to the mat, you'll do that today. And lower. Press into the palms, rise up, downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward, lower the left knee, toes stay tucked. Bring the right hand behind the back on the sacrum. The left hand comes to the right side of the head so you can allow the left ear to drop towards the left shoulder. And you're just using the left hand to add a little bit more pressure and weight. Bring the left hand to the left cheek and use that to help guide your head back to center. Plant the palms, step the back foot in, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Step back with the left foot this time. Lower the left knee, keep the toes tucked. Bring your arms just straight up in the air. Can you feel the back of the skull, or the skull rather, resting on top of the axis of the spine? Hands plant to the floor, step back for plank. Last time through sun cell 1, lower the knees and lower all the way. Pull back for cobra. And down facing dog. The left foot steps forward, lower the right knee, rise up, low lunge, arms are lifted, check in with the neck. Hands plant, slide the back foot in, forward fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale, moving into our sequence, forward fold. Step back with the right leg, lower the right knee, coming back into your low lunge. From here, we're going to lift up on the right toes and swivel so that the right leg is parallel to the front of the mat. So your left leg stays as it is. Then you'll bring the left forearm to the left thigh and allow the left ear to drop over to the shoulder here. Slightly different here. Bring the hand behind the head, behind the back of the skull. Bring the elbow in close to the right temple, and then turn and allow the head to drop towards so that the skull is facing down on the mat. Release that, bring the right hand underneath the right shoulder, swivel the right leg so that it's back in line with the rest of your mat, and we'll lift up into a twisted crescent. The left arm lifts up towards the ceiling. You can allow the right ear to drop towards the right shoulder here. Turn towards the right of your mat, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Keep the right palm planted on the floor as you lift the left arm up towards the ceiling, coming into a twist, and again, just allowing that right ear to drop towards the right shoulder. Bring the left hand back down to the floor, turning towards the back of your mat. Stepping back for a downward facing dog. And we'll swivel the heels here. So just allow both heels to drop towards the right, come back through center, and then through the left, back through center. Release any tension in your neck. Come back through downward facing dog. Shift forward into plank. Lower the knees. Lower all the way. Fingertips come wide. We'll come into that wide cobra. Lifting up, dropping the top of the skull towards the floor. Releasing back down. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Press into the palms. Rise up through all fours. Tuck the toes. Coming back through downward facing dog, and then walking the hands back towards the feet, coming back into that happy squat. You can interlace the hands behind the skull and give yourself some traction in the back of the neck. Release the hands, lift up onto the toes, and just turn towards the left. Just keep turning, allow the ankles to cross. We'll come into a cross ankle forward fold here. Take a breath, feel a different stretch across the back of the legs. Then uncross the feet, right foot steps next to the left, and rise to stand. You can lift the arms up. Take it on the other side. Exhale, forward fold. Step back with the left leg this time. And we're coming into that low lunge. Then we'll swivel on the left leg so that the left leg comes parallel to the front of the mat. And you bring the right forearm to the right thigh. The left arm can come across, and just allow the right ear to drop towards the right shoulder. Bring the right hand behind the head, the left hand behind the head. The left elbow comes into the left temple, and then you rotate so that you bring the top of the skull facing the floor. Feeling a different kind of stretch. You're closer towards the shoulder blades. Swivel the left leg so the toes and the left leg come back to face the same direction as the right. Bring the left hand underneath the left shoulder, tuck the left toes and lift up, coming into a twisted crescent. The left ear drops here. And as you bring the right hand down, we'll turn towards the left this time. Facing the sideways on our mat, the right hand plants, the left arm lifts up, coming into a twisted wide leg forward fold. The right ear drops towards the right shoulder. Left hand comes down and turn towards the back of the mat. Stepping the left foot back, coming into downward facing dog. And swiveling the heels from side to side. Coming back to downward facing dog. Shifting forward to plank. Lower the knees and lower all the way. Fingertips come wide off the mat. Pull back for a wide cobra. Allow the top of the head to drop towards the mat. Release. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Press up through downward facing dog. And again, we walk the hands back to meet the feet. Coming into that happy squat with the hands interlaced behind the skull. Getting some traction for the neck here. Release, and we'll lift up onto the toes, turn towards the right and just keep turning, coming into a cross ankle forward fold, right foot in front of the left. Feel that stretch on the back of the legs. Uncross the feet, left foot plants next to the right, rise up to stand. We're going to repeat that sequence one more time. Exhale, forward fold. We'll add in a little bit variation to it. Step back with the right leg, lower the right knee, keep the toes tucked, coming into your low lunge. Then swivel the right leg parallel to the front of the mat. We'll come into that side bend here, allowing the left ear to drop towards the left shoulder. Right hand comes behind the head, and you'll bring the right elbow in and allow that to guide the top of the head towards the mat. Release the stretch, allow the right hand to come underneath the right shoulder. This time you can come into your twisted crescent, or we'll come into kind of a lizard-like position. So you can reach back with the left hand and lift the right foot up, grabbing the left or the right foot with the left hand and opening up here. Again, you can just release the neck and do whatever feels comfortable, or maybe you're still in that twisted crescent. Or maybe your back knee is down and you're just feeling a stretch here without trying to grab the foot with the hand. Release the foot if you have it, tuck the right toes and turn towards the side of your mat. This time we'll come into some side lunges. You can keep the hands planted on the floor. You can grab shins or ankles, whatever feels comfortable, as long as you have a nice long spine and you're just taking some side lunges. Turn towards the back of the mat. We'll step back for downward facing dog. Swivel the hips. Maybe you want to bend the knees here and really sit the hips back towards the heels. And get a stretch in the side body. And come through downward facing dog. Shift forward into plank. Lower the knees. Lower all the way. This time, bring the hands so that you make a pillow for your head and just allow the head to drop. You can lift the feet up off the floor and just move the legs windshield wiper side to side. So even in this position, your neck is nice and long. We'll just release the low back a little bit. Coming back to center, lower the legs, the hands come underneath the shoulders, press up through downward facing dog, and immediately walk the hands back towards the feet. Happy squat, interlace the hands behind the head, and stretch out the neck here. Release the hands, lift up onto the toes, and turn towards the left, coming into that cross ankle forward fold. Uncross the feet, right foot steps next to the left. Inhale, rise to stand. We've got one more side. Exhale, forward fold. Step back with the left leg. Lower the left knee, keep the toes tucked, coming into your low lunge. Then paralleling the left leg to the front of the mat, the right arm comes to the top of the right thigh, and just release the right ear to the right shoulder. Left hand comes behind the head, left elbow comes in, and use that to guide the top of the skull towards the mat. Always being gentle, even if you're just using your own body weight for some traction and added weight for gravity. Don't want to pull anything. If it's uncomfortable, you back off. Left hand comes underneath the left shoulder. The left leg comes back in line with the right. And again, we'll come into that lizard-like pose. So maybe you reach back with the right hand and grab the top of the left foot. Or maybe not. You can allow the left ear to drop to the left shoulder. Release the left foot if you had it. Tuck the left toes. And as you lift up, you'll turn sideways on your mat, coming into those side lunges. Or maybe you want to do some side lunges with some twists, reaching one arm into the air and then the other. Coming back to center and then turning all the way towards the back of the mat. Stepping back for downward facing dog. And we'll do those butt to the heels. Move, swiveling the feet side to side, bending the knees. Coming back through downward facing dog, coming forward to plank, lower the knees, lower all the way. Make a pillow for the head using the hands. Allow the back of the neck to be nice and long. And you can lift the legs up and windshield wiper side to side. Bring the legs back to center. Release them back to the mat. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Lift up through downward facing dog. Immediately walking the hands back towards the feet. Sitting into the heels, bringing the hands interlaced behind the head. Last time in this happy squat. Release the hands, lift up onto the toes and turn towards the right, coming into cross ankle forward fold with the right leg in front of the left. Then step the left foot next to the right. And we'll make our way down to seated. Grab your hoodie again. We're going to do just a couple more stretches to close out our class. So we'll do the same thing as we have been doing. You'll grab the arms of your hoodie, bring the rolled up part behind the skull, lift, so you get some length in the back of the skull, the hands come in, and from here, we're just gonna allow the head to drop back. So now we found all this length in the back of the skull. We wanna keep that length, but we'll also allow the head to go back. If it feels good here, you can just let the head drop to side, wiggle however you feel. And then use the hoodie to help lengthen the back of the neck again. And last one we'll do is we'll bring the hoodie. So you're going to make kind of like a little turban for yourself. So you'll grab both arms of the sweatshirt in front of the skull. And then just allow the head to drop down towards the floor. Again, that idea of traction. If it feels like too much, back off. Using the hoodie to help lift your head back up. Releasing that. You can drop that off to the side. We'll come into a couple more stretches on our back to close out class, but first just sit for a moment and feel the skull centered right over the top of the spine. Feel the length in the neck that we've worked on throughout class. Put that into your muscle memory to take it with you the rest of the day. And then come to lie down on your back. And we'll draw both knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice little hug here. Just gently rocking on the sacrum side to side. Again, maybe using the hands to lengthen out the back of the neck and drag the skull away from the rest of the body. Letting both knees fall all the way over towards the right as the right arm reaches out towards the right and the left arm can peel open across the body, coming into a twist. The gaze could follow to look up towards the ceiling. Coming back through center. Rock on the sacrum a couple more times before we switch sides. You could bring the palms to the kneecaps and slowly rock side to side. And then both knees fall all the way over towards the left. The left arm reaches out towards the left and the right arm peels across the body, bringing you into your spinal twist. And then coming back to center. And we'll come into our Savasana. Come into whatever resting pose you would like. Maybe keeping the soles of the feet on the floor and allowing the knees drop in towards one another, or maybe stretching out long. Wherever you're at, make sure you've got some space in the back of your neck. Again, you can use the hands to pick up the head and place it back down with some length in your spine. And you can choose to stay here as long as you want. For the rest of us, as we're ready, we'll roll over onto the right and bring ourselves back up to seated. And I will come stop our recording. Thank you, YouTube friends, for joining.